Foggy mornings with indie bands, singing loudly as I pull in where I am tardy again. 'Cause I am always...
Occasionally, I have way more to say on a book than I can fit in an Instagram caption. In those instances, that word is really hard for me. I would like to pop in here and chat with you guys some more. And today I have The 9 Moons of Hanyu and Luli by Karina Yan Glaser. This is a middle grade historical fiction. Don't let the middle grade fool you. And we'll chat more about that in a bit. I also have not had a chance to give you a nice quick tour of my favorite, I know it's the only indie bookshop in town, but I'm so glad they opened, and it is one of my favorite indie shops I've ever been to because also it's beachside. You had me at hello, but the decor and everything is just so quirky, it's so fun. I'll have that in this video as well. Welcome back, friends. If you're new here, this is Seaside Reads with Arlene, and I am so glad you're spending time with me today. You can also find me over on Instagram under Arlene and Company. That's also my name. Yes, I changed the title of this channel here just to make it evident what's the new direction of this place. So like we said, The 9 Moons of Hanyu and Luli, I actually purchased at that bookshop that I told you about by the skip to seeing that quick little bookshop tour. I have the timestamps down below, but I purchased this months ago for my son to do some independent reading for. I first saw this shared as an arc from my friend Kelly from Beaches and Reads, and the minute I saw her share it, I immediately added it to his list. But I did not expect that I was gonna appreciate it as much as I did. Let me tell you a little bit about what this story is about, and then let's digest it a little bit. I'm not gonna have any major spoilers or anything like that, but hopefully, you know, chatting about this, we can either nerd out if you've read it, or maybe this inspires you to pick it up as well. The 9 Moons of Hanyu and Luli by Karina Yan Glaser. She is the author of the Vanderbeek series on 141st Street. And to be honest with you, I actually only have read the first one in that series, and reading this book has made me want to go back to her back catalog and catch those as well, and you know, and dive into her work even more, because this was a beautiful experience to me for so many reasons. So The 9 Moons of Hanyu and Luli is a dual timeline historical fiction placed on 2 different parts, and if I look down, I am looking at my handy dandy commonplace book notebook here that I have a beta format of my friend Megan from School Mess. She is looking to offer this new size A5, and she sent me this. How beautiful is this? It's me. She has my little nice seashore on it, and I absolutely adore that. So if you see me looking down, I'm looking down on my notes because, friends, I need to take notes. Power to you if you're able to write on your actual books. I cannot do it. I will flag the heck out of it, but I cannot write on my books. I can't do it. So I always have multiple notebooks that I go through, and this is my current one right now. You have dual timelines, 731 Cheyenne, ancient China, during the Tang Dynasty, which is one of my little research passions of looking into that era. And then you have 1931 Chinatown, New York City. And that is during the Great Depression, which is not really referred to as the Great Depression in the book because that is not the term that they used at the time. So she was very true to the language, even when we're talking about the silk routes and things like that, of what the characters would use in that time period. I think she does a beautiful job staying true to that, and that's something that I really look for when you're writing historical fiction. I give a lot of forgiveness for a lot of things and creative liberties, but when you stay true to the language and to those little tiny details, just like saying, okay, they wouldn't have called it the Great Depression at that time, they would have called it that. But I found that to highlight Chinese Americans during that time was something that I have not seen a lot in this genre. So I was really excited for it. It is middle grade. I'm going to talk to you about why I feel that expands beyond that. It has maps. I'm already excited when it has maps. Route of the Tang Dynasty, and this is something that you are learning about throughout, and that you can see the maps of like the streets that where they lived, which there is some similarities of how the streets were laid out in this grid system. So this is Cheyenne and this is Chinatown, New York City. So it's nice to me to be able to follow along as they're taking different journeys and traveling in however far it may be, or not really far at all, and being able to like visually see what is like their time and place through everything. So I really enjoy that. So you're actually looking at two kiddos, and I believe they're around like 11 or 12, I can't exactly remember, in their own time. However, the way and the time that is written in, when you were first reading, at least for me, I didn't immediately get the impression that we were looking at the POV of a tween at all. I felt like I was reading something about a child that was older, even beyond that. And then like it caught me afterwards. I was like, oh wait, this is a kid. Like it did, like it, I don't know if that was intentional or not, but it was true to the times, because the extra responsibilities, the life struggles, the things that we shield, or some of us shield our kiddos from, is vastly different than it would have been in ancient China or during the Great Depression. So that was something that was like an interesting nugget for me, that I didn't immediately know the age of the kiddo. Luli, which is the character in Chinatown, that was a little bit more evident. The times were a little bit different, but they were still going through their own family struggles. So back with Han Yu in ancient China, his father was a former merchant, and now he had like a street stall of dim sum. Now this theme there carries throughout, and that's all I'll say about that, through both kiddos' timeline. There is a connection there. This is no major spoilers or anything like that, just letting you know part of the synopsis. But there is a connection there. So there's so many different threads in this book that I appreciated, because it wasn't just one avenue that you can take. And what I really love about historical fiction is that it sometimes sparks your curiosity to dig deeper into that history. But what this book accomplished was being able to make me want to learn more about Dofu, or learn more about, the Tang Dynasty, learn more about Chinatown during this time, to learn more about the school that she was attending, which, is still standing today. The author's note was very insightful, because she goes into detail about what is inspired by true events, real places that are still standing that you can go visit, and what was just out of her imagination. And I really appreciated that as well. So with Han Yu, back to his family, his father does the stall. He gets an offer to do a job that he would have normally done as a merchant with the silk routes, because everybody in their neighborhood and their community is falling ill. And as they're describing the illnesses and the symptoms, I know that they're talking about TB, tuberculosis. And what I really appreciated that Glaser did was that she didn't spell things out for us. She put things in the perspective of the POV of those main characters, of letting us feel how they were feeling their fear and not knowing the uncertainties of just seeing this new type of, or not new, but new to them at the moment, of trying to figure out what was happening and how can we cure this and how can we heal our community and things like that. So I appreciated that things were not spelled out. You had to look at it. Oh, okay. we're talking about TV, but we have that knowledge. They didn't. So she stayed true to that. And there was a lot of language and things like that. She stayed true to what the characters would have used at that time. So Hanyu's father, I believe he falls ill as well. And then his sister falls ill and she's really, really sick. He wants to help his family. There is points that are talking about the international testing that they do in China. The poet, a real life inspired poet, Defu. And there is a thread that follows through. I don't want to give that away for you, but there's someone that he meets on his journey. So he decides that he wants to help his family by going ahead and making this delivery of these silks and taking the job that he needs to take. Part of his backstory, he is known as the Tiger Boy. He had an encounter as a young child where I believe, I don't remember the exact details, but there was a thing with a tiger, and in their area it wasn't routinely seen, and I believe the mother was scared something was going to happen, but instead the tiger sneezed and that got like on his forehead and things like that. And ever since that, like, animals seem very, very attracted to them. So there's a little bit of like a dash of like a magic in there, but not like explicit magic. It's just like the inspiration of magic or lore. So he has this story that kind of follows him around, and some people swear that they see a tiger behind him, which he cannot see. So he's known as Tiger Boy. Something that carries through his journey. He's still trying to find his purpose, and you have to think of the times. You're thinking, okay, well, my tween has no idea what they're gonna do or whatever. But at the times, they were getting apprenticeship. They were doing, they had a clear vision of what you were gonna do as your next step at this early age. And his siblings were very accomplished. So there is this part of a coming of age story of trying to figure out what his place is, because he wasn't as successful with the things he was trying out as his siblings had been. So he had not found his place yet. So that is the journey he takes, as his sister being the one that was the most ill when he takes off on this journey, trying to help his family while all the sickness is hitting. So that is the framework of what we're seeing from that timeline. Now, on the other side of is Luli in Chinatown. She's attending what a private school, which was for kids, was actually in like real life, for if I'm not mistaken, for immigrant kids. And her parents did immigrate to Chinatown some time before that. The J Palace restaurant, which if I'm not mistaken is a real place. And they also a museum with ancient art and things like that. She knew a lot about art because of her family. There was this whole dynamic of like interconnected generations and things like that. But because we're talking about the Great Depression, we've seen how that unfolds and how this in fact impacted these communities. Now, at the time, her parents were paying like $5 a month for her to attend this private school, and that weighs heavily on her as she's seen how her parents are struggling to make the mortgage, to keep her restaurant from going under and things like that. There is reference to the Met, there is reference to different artists, there's reference to studying different type of art pieces, and there is a lot of connections with real life things, which I found that so immersive and so refreshing to see. I love when authors are able to use real life things and unfold these beautiful stories throughout. In Luli's story, we actually get to see a little bit more of a diverse panel of characters, because we're not only seeing the point of views of her family, but also her friends that she goes into this school with, and people in the community. Now, at the time, things were, you know, kind of sketchy in places because of the times and people struggling or whatever it may be, or no excuses whatsoever. So there was a lot of elements of danger, and there is a little bit of a trigger there if that is a sensitivity for your kiddo that may be reading it. But there is that, which is dealt with very, I think, authentically and geared very well. I think because of the major themes that the story is delves into, that it's not really something that I would say an 8-year-old would pick up and totally grasp everything about it. Maybe a mature one. It is a middle grade, so middle grade is usually 8 to 12. However, I would recommend this title more for like 9 and up or 10 and up. And the reason I say that is because they would get more from it, like just the little pockets of knowledge and the little avenues of deep reflections. And I'm not saying that a younger child wouldn't get that, but I think someone a little bit older would get more from this story, which I think there's a lot to gain from this. This was an easy 5-star read for me, and I love kicking off the beginning of the year with such a standout read. I think this is a story that is easily appreciated by adults, and because of the themes that these two children deal with, I honestly feel that, you know, early teens will really get a lot from it. I don't mention older teens because you know how fickle they can be, and I have those. I mean, I have the mid-range one. I have a 15-and-a-half-year-old and a 13-and-a-half-year-old. So they can be fickle the older they get. But if you have a kid that still loves middle grade, this is definitely one that I would say would be a hit for even teenagers. But grab it for yourself, because I think it was just beautifully done because of the themes that it deals with. The disease, the impact that had in the community, the impact that it had in the Tang Dynasty, the relationships encounter with the Chinese poet, the different dynamics that some of the family members dealt with. It does deal with a little bit, I wouldn't say it's like dark or anything like that, but it deals with some heavier topics that I would say that this is better appreciated by someone with a little bit more maturity. But I greatly appreciate when historical fiction is done well, and then greatly surprised when it's middle grade. I absolutely loved it. And then if you can see the cover, it took me a while to even notice. So this is Hanyu, known as the Tiger Boy. Let's see if I can, there we go. I mean, it's a stunning cover. And then we have Luli. And yes, there is an element with animals on both sides, which I found endearing, and I love that connection because I think that this book does a lot for a lot of different readers. Whether you are just straight like love history, whether you love art, there's a lot of art references, and then Chinese art is so much reference in that. Silks, textiles, things like that. There is all that. If you are like a culinary kid, like my kid, my youngest, that wants to be a chef, there is a lot of those elements for both timelines with that as well. So this gave a lot. This is not a quick read. This is almost like over 400 pages. I think it was like 420 pages or something like that. So, you know, you're gonna take your time a little bit with this one. I really enjoy this. And, you know, I hate doing this little like star rating, but this is what kind of people understand more. So we'll call it a 5-star because I don't hand those out easily. I have a habit of now showing you guys if I feel like something is a seaside read. My daughter, wait, let's see if I can get this to focus. No, I'll just put a picture. I have it on my cup. Wait. This is full of my daughter's stickers that she made for me. She like hands illustrate things. This one, I actually designed my logo. No, I don't think. Wait. No, that's not gonna work. Anyways, I'll show you a picture of it. for what I consider a seaside read. And to explain that a little bit, I can get into that another time, but seaside reads are comfort reads, right? Your beach reads don't have to have a beach setting. It just doesn't have to require a lot of mental workout from you. Like if it's a high fantasy, I don't consider those, for me, a seaside read, because a lot of times you need to be taking notes to keep things straight and stuff like that. Historical fiction can be a seaside read to me, depending on the plot lines and the different characters and dynamics. So this one, I feel like I took notes because I wanted to dive into a lot of the different dynamics and different historical points and historical elements that was in it. I took a lot of notes. Could I remember a lot of it without doing that and read this on a beach chair with ocean water? Probably. I wouldn't call this a seaside read because I think this is better as an immersive type of read where you're, you know, taking your time and taking some notes. So I wouldn't give it the seaside read stamps, but this is a must read. This is another, and I don't only read beach reads, obviously. I read a lot of different complex things, and I genre hop like no other. And if you've read it, tell me about what you think. Here's the naked book. You know, it's just a fun color, and that's fine. I keep my covers. I actually prefer to read paperback, but this is what was available. Why can't we release it in both ways anymore at the same time? Don't know, but I can't wait to hit her back. Growing up in New York City, I'm trying to remember the places that she referenced, and I was born in Manhattan. I was trying to remember the places that she referenced. I was like, wait, that is a real place. And then I just got all excited, and I'm trying to like Google Earth it and trying to find these different things. So it's really exciting when we can make those personal connections and, you know, and then dig in deeper with a historical fiction. To check out Books on 3rd, which is located right here near the beach in Naples, Southwest Florida. It is one of my favorite indie shops that I have ever encountered, and I can't wait to show you inside.
The location of the shop gives me all like the vintage boutique vibes. It is in Old Downtown, and it's located actually upstairs, so it's kind of like a little hidden gem. However, there's signs to let you know that they're up there. And they sometimes have these pop-up like blind book date things that are downstairs. We went here like the last week of December, so there was still holiday decor up, if you see a little glimpse of that. Yes, it's been a minute. It took me a bit to get this video going, but every single section you entered here is so fun and at the same time calming, but it feels like you're in a completely different room each time. The aesthetics is gorgeous. I love how they went a little wild with the floors and the colors on the walls and the book shapes, everything like to match and complement, but it's not like super loud. And don't get me wrong, I love all the bookish store aesthetics. Like I can have like the dark academia vibe store, the one that you look like you just crawled into somebody's basement and there's like a sea of books that you need to like navigate through. Love that. I love it all. I just thought this was going to be a little bit more obvious when I first heard they were opening, and it completely surprised me because it was so much more. You still see the beaches aesthetic, but it has so much charm and so much quirk that I love so much. Their collection is super diverse. Their picture books that I've seen here has been a really super diverse collection. I have seen so many gems, and that's true through the store throughout. And actually, I think every single time, except for the last time, I picked up children's book, and it's so welcoming and inviting. They have like, you know, these little tables. They have like the sleek door, like a whole vibe. And I'm going to show you one of my favorite touches in just a bit. And then you can look out like as you're shopping out. Like, isn't this the perfect vibe? Look at that. Okay, so we have like these little beach golf carts, which is what that reminds me of. Maybe it is that, that we see all the time. And it's in that beautiful bluish sea color. That was a very welcome surprise because I see them on the street all the time. They also have a lot of like gifting items, stationery, tote bags. How have I not bought one of the tote bags? Yes, it's beyond me. But I did, like I said, I grabbed one nonfiction title and a fiction title on this trip. I don't go rogue, friends, when I go to a bookstore. I'm very intentional what I was looking for. But this is everything. This book I have seen so many times, and I feel like it's telling me I need to read it, but I didn't pick it up this time. You know, this reminded me of The Visible Life of Addie LaRue, that I need to finish that book. ADHD is strong, friends. Sometimes I'm enjoying something, but then something else catches my attention and I have to read that instead. I need to go back to that. The big plus about this bookshop is a short little walk right to the beach. And I will take any excuse for a little seaside therapy. Thank you so much for hanging out with me. I hope you had a good time. Don't forget to support your local indie shop. My bookshop storefront actually supports Books on Third. Thank you so much for being here.